All right, welcome to this video. Today we're going to be looking at some thin set. If you're doing some tiling work and are looking for a good thin set to use, I might recommend this stuff. It's called Versabond and it's by the brand Custom, name brand, been around a long time. And this stuff, Versabond, I've used before several times and I always really liked it. Now I'm using the white versus the gray. You can research, what the pros and cons are for color, white versus gray in terms of thin set, but I've always worked with the white and I really like it. Now I'm specifically working today with the large format tile. So if you've got tiles that run the longer than 15 inches in length, you're going to want to upgrade to the large format tile of Versabond Thinset like this. And that is, you can also, Google that. What that actually does, but basically it's a better made substance that holds down and prevents lippage happening from your larger tiles. Now, what I'm doing here is mixing it, obviously. I'll put a link down below for the Versabond description and the instructions, and you can check out those ratios. I'm not a big ratio person. I don't measure exactly. I just kind of take some scoops. I'm a believer in texture first, right? Because, you want it to be peanut butter-like texture. There's not really any other way to put it. You don't want it soupy. You don't want it chunky where it's balling up, right? You want to mix it really well until you get that peanut butter-like texture. By the way, have a big bucket of water next to you. And spin that off after you're done mixing it. You're supposed to mix the Versabond, for a good 5-10 minutes, and then let it sit for a good 5 or 10 minutes, and then come back and do it, mixing it again. So we're almost a texture that was a little wetter than I'd like it to. So I added a little more powder, and you can kind of work in small batches and whatnot. This stuff, I can tell you that it will start to thin. It's called thin set for a reason, right? The thinner it is, the quicker it will set. So, but as long as you make a batch, it's gonna last. As long as you don't spend too much time cutting tile in the meantime. But I kind of worked in small batches. I didn't mix the entire bag at one time. I just felt I could control that a little better. But certainly you would have that option. And in terms of applicability to the wall, I am applying it to Redgard over cement backer board, 1/2 inch hardy backer, and then I Redgarded it up to 25 mils for the general waterproofing requirements that Redgard offers. So this is the first time I had applied Versabond to Redgard as a backing, and so I was a little curious, would that affect the bond? And it, as far as I could tell, it didn't. It adhered extremely well. In fact, as soon as you put up a tile and then try to yank it or kind of pull it off, it's not going anywhere. It's really hard to do. So it definitely does its job. Now, and here's a better look at, I'm using a 1/2 inch trowel for the large format tile application. If you're using the regular non-format tile Versabond, you can go with a 1/4 inch trowel or 3/8 inch trowel, something a little smaller, but you basically want to create larger channels and larger path lines of your Versabond there. And then of course, when you adhere your tile, you'll pop those down. But you can see the consistency here. It's just a beautiful product to work with. I'm really happy with it. I do recommend wearing gloves. I'll get to that in a minute. Because after several days of working with this stuff, it kind of started to it has abrasive in it, right? It's a cement-like thing, so there's grains of sand and whatnot in there. So this is me back buttering the 12 by 24 inch tile. It back butters really well. Again, it's all about consistency. You don't want it too soupy or too clumpy, so it should spread like peanut butter. And I've got it fast forwarded a little bit here for you. You don't need to watch every single second here. And there's just a shot for you of kind of how it looks once you put your first tile on or a tile on. I do like to, you'll get another shot of this in a minute of what I'm doing here at the top. Sometimes your ridges that you create you could bring them up a little higher, kind of like that. But when you press your tile down, sometimes those ridges, they'll collapse. But I like to create a nice thin set seal on the top. We'll get a better look at that. But this is the thin set collapsing as you compress your tile against the wall. and it cleans up really, really well with a damp sponge or a damp cloth. Obviously, you want to keep your site as clean as possible, especially you'll be thanking yourself later if you're grouting, if you've got hard, thin set in there. You're going to be cursing yourself if it dries and you have to chisel all that stuff out. Here's another look at the consistency being applied to the Redgard. And obviously part of this video is just to kind of get you acclimated with it so you can know kind of what to expect, just some visuals for you. So you just kind of work it with your trowel. I assume if you're watching this video, you've done this before, so you can obviously YouTube other videos on how to apply Thinset, but it's relatively straightforward, and this stuff is no exception. So, and it's specifically formulated and designed. Well, I don't know about specifically, but it certainly meets the wet conditions of a shower wall. I don't know what all the ANSI.118.1 or whatever. I don't know what those ratings are exactly, but I assume a room full of really smart people with experience have put this stuff to the test. So, and obviously, if you Google Versabond, you're going to get lots of good reviews. Very few, I think, few poor reviews on this stuff. So, here's another shot at what I was talking about earlier. Taking my finger and kind of working in that Thinset. Just kind of penetrating that top ridge a little bit. So here's kind of what it looks like after one wall. Again, really happy with the Thinset. It cleans really well from the tile, even though as long as it's pretty thin. If it gets too thick, after a few days, it's going to be harder and harder to get off of there. But I stay on top of it, and it cleans up really well. Now for the custom shower niche, the mosaic backsplash that I'm applying, it suddenly dropped to a smaller tile size, so I switched back to, I had bought a bag of just the regular non-large format tile stuff, so just the regular white bag of Versabond, and adhered the mosaic tile using that. And I also knocked down to the 1/4-inch trowel as opposed to the 1/2 inch, since it's a smaller tile size. And that stuff has very similar consistency, the non-large format tile Versabond versus the large format tile Versabond. And then for my custom shower niche shelf here, all 4 sides, I used the large format tile, went back to that since the lengths exceeded 15 inches. And again, that's supposed to just help kind of suck down the middle part of those longer tiles, because there is, as I mentioned earlier, some lippage. However, I did not use the 1/2 inch trowel here on this. Anyway, so this Versabond stuff, really versatile, really professional. It's got great adhesion, cleans up well, and is all around just a really good Thinset. I don't think you can go wrong with this stuff. Anyway, that is it. Hopefully this video has helped you make a good purchasing decision, or at least informed you a little bit more.